Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you for joining us for the Broker Price Opinion BPO training session for the Short Sale Specialist Network training program here. This is Mike Linkenauger with First Coast Realty Associates and the Short Sale Specialist Network. I have Ethan joining me here.
Hi, this is Ethan Gregory with First Coast Realty Associates. I do a lot of the processing here at First Coast Realty Associates for all of our short sales, as well as a number of the BPOs for different companies.
And again, I have some experience as well myself in doing some BPOs. So that's the main thing that this session is going to be on here is discussing different kinds of property valuations for distressed properties and what you can expect through the process. Now let's start it out. First off, we're going to talk about some of the forms that you're going to see on the site right there. Now we have a couple different kinds of editable, fully editable, personalized BPO forms. Now there's two different forms here. You can use these and put your own logos on them. You can put your own information, and they are fully editable, generic forms. So we have two different ones of those. Next, we also have, there's a good dozen or so lender-specific forms, BPO forms there, that will also, some of them will also have lender-specific guidelines on what they ask out of their BPOs as well. So those are some of the forms that you're going to have there right in front of you on the site there. So first, let's start off about just talking about why agents should be doing broker price opinions. Ethan, share a little bit about that.
Yeah, first and foremost, with any of these short sales here, doing a BPO is paramount. Obviously, you're doing your valuation when you go out to the property for the first time and list it, and you're looking at whatever value you think is fair. But once you get that offer, it's a good idea when you submit your full short sale packet to have a BPO that justifies that offer. Now, and that's why we're teaching this course here, because if you're able to send this to the asset manager, at least you're getting your voice in there of what you think the value is.
Absolutely, and that's really the main thing with the short sale packages is you're going to state the case. You're going to be stating your homeowner's case that, look, your seller's in a hardship, here's all the documents to back it up, and here's a reasonable offer, current as-is market value offer to purchase, along with a broker's price opinion justifying that offer. So like Ethan just said, you're really just stating the case. So this is just one thing that will help, complete a short sale package here. And I'll tell you this much right now, too. This is one thing that a majority of agents leave off of short sale packages, but is very important because there are some lenders out there that will just flat out approve a short sale without doing their own valuation. It happens. It does happen.
And doing these BPOs and submitting with your packet, not only for your idea of the value of it, it's also to show that there's repairs needed. Because there's a repair section generally under BPO forms of what needs to be done. And so they know they're not looking at some, beautiful, pristine new house. They're looking at something that needs a little work, and here's why I'm justifying that value.
So one of the things that we do, too, at the listing appointments is make sure you take plenty of pictures of anything that needs repair. Any siding damage is a big one, in a lot of states. Just any roof, anything that could need potential repair, carpet, paint, get some extra pictures of those things to add to the BPOs. So Ethan, let's talk about some of the other reasons why it's good for agents to do BPOs as well.
Yeah, that's doing the BPO for yourself with the short sale packet, and a good way to get a little training doing the BPOs as well as help supplement your income is to do some for asset valuation companies or banks specifically for themselves. If you have a good relationship for an asset manager yourself, you probably know this, you get BPO orders regularly. But a good way to make a little extra money on the side is go do BPOs. These companies, we have a whole list of them here that we're going to be able to providing for you. And that's a great way to supplement your income. And the second part of that is if you do enough BPOs for certain companies, you'll be able to get REO listings. And from there, you get relationships with asset managers, you show you're doing a good job. The BPOs are kind of the gateway to get into these REO listings.
Absolutely. That's a very good point, Ethan. This is just another way to get your foot in the door with asset management companies to show them that you're an expert in distressed properties in your area and that you can handle their assets, that you are the one to call when they need to sell a property in your area. So, okay, let's talk about a little bit about how to get BPOs, how to get banks to contact you, or just generally how to get business doing BPOs or broker price opinions. and also a little bit about what you can expect as far as how much to be compensated.
Yeah, we have a whole directory of different asset valuation companies there on the website that are a great resource to use. Anytime you get to sign up for them. Most of them require no fees whatsoever to sign up for. Just put in your information, put in your qualifications. Each one's a little bit different, but some of the bigger names would be like Equitor, formerly REO Trans, Dispo Solutions is a big one, ResNet. You can sign up for all of these different sites and become a BPO agent with them and hopefully transform yourself into a REO agent at one point too. So that's a great way to get started from there. Definitely search around the website that we have here, that we have a ton of listings there of different companies to sign up for.
Absolutely. So guys, take this list here, and if you do want a way to supplement your income, typically, lenders will pay $55 to $75, $85 sometimes, depending on the different type of BPO. We'll talk about that more in just a minute. But this list here that we're giving you is invaluable. If you contact these companies, you can expect to get some broker price opinion orders from them. And many companies charge just very, very high amounts of money for this list here. So, it's definitely valuable. This is something that you don't want to share with your buddies because they will take business from you. So anyway, like I said too, it's a good way to earn, $55 to $75, $85 each. And also we'll talk about again in our final conference of the training program more about setting up a good team to eventually delegate some of these responsibilities to where you can be the one who sits behind the desk while you have other agents on your team doing these BPOs for you. And, you're the one collecting the money. So again, we'll talk a little bit about that in another conference. So let's talk some about the different kinds of BPOs.
Yeah, depending on the order that comes available that you accept, there are three different kinds. There's interior BPOs, exterior BPOs, and something that's a little more rare as well is called desktop valuations, which is basically just doing a quick value for someone. Generally, that'll come when you have a good relationship with some asset manager. They'll be asked to give a quick value on something, a little rare, but we're going to focus on BPOs today. When you're doing your short sale package, you're going to do what's called an interior BPO. You're going to take pictures of all the main rooms, all the repairs that are needed, picture of the front of the house, the side of the house, a picture of the address either on the mailbox or on the side of the house. Lots of pictures the better, especially if there's repairs. You want to have those in your packet to be able to submit to that lender so they know that, this house is not, a thing of beauty. It's an as-is sale. So that's the interior BPO. The second one is the exterior BPO, which is also called a drive-by BPO. That's where you just drive by the property, snap a picture of the front, the side, the address, and the street view of the house, and then also a picture of each comparable. And most BPOs will require 3 comparable sales in the past, say 6 months or so, depending on the company, and also require 3 comparable listings that are currently active on the market. So those are 2 different kinds of BPOs, and also you'll notice that sometimes you'll get a rush order on a BPO. They'll want it in the next, say 24 hours or so. Make sure you get those. When you get those, make sure you send these companies quick. The faster you respond to them, get them out to them, the higher rating they're going to give you.
Absolutely. A lot of these systems like Equitor and ResNet use rating systems to rate you based on your performance and also based on whether or not they're going to assign you assets or listings in the future. They are constantly grading you based on your performance, how quickly you take care of different tasks that you're assigned in the process here. So make sure you get everything done promptly as quickly as possible so you stand out against the other people doing these too. Ethan mentioned too, lots of pictures on the interior BPOs. One of the forms we have here for you, one of the generic forms here, it has I think 15 different spots. Try to fill them up with all of those pictures if possible. We mentioned too, one of the systems that does grade people is Equitor. Equitor is, I believe they're responsible for handling upwards of $6 billion in distressed properties last year, if I'm not mistaken about that number. And they do charge a little bit of money to get assigned zip codes for specific areas. The cost is minimal, and what they will do, they will send you an email notification, and they send it out to other agents who have your same zip codes as well. please keep that in mind, because as soon as you get that email notification, you may want to have that forwarded directly to your cell phone or some kind of mobile device to where you can contact it and go ahead and sign up for that order right then and there, so you can be the one who gets that job and gets that deal. So those are some of the different kinds of BPOs. Ethan, let's share a little bit about also, what to include on the broker price opinions, what you can expect on there.
When doing your short sale packet, always be sure to include as-is comps. I mean, you're selling this thing as is. The bank's going to require you to sell it as is normally. And so you want to be able to include other as-is comps to show that, when we're listing these things and selling them, we're not asking for the seller to make any repairs, and we're going to find other comparables that are the same. And so you're, again, getting your voice in on what you think the value is based on how you were able to market and sell the property and some of the constraints you've had to deal with, because in a short sale, typically your seller does not have the funds to contribute for repairs or anything. So make sure you use as-is comps.
Which are obviously, of course, short sales and foreclosures.
Use other distressed properties. This is a distressed property you're selling, and so make sure your comps are other distressed properties. Now, in going with other companies that you're working with, they may have different guidelines on what they want. Make sure whenever you receive that BPO order and you accept it, that you read through those instructions carefully, because every bank and every asset manager is sometimes different. For example, some will say they don't want any distressed property sales, which doesn't help you out at all with your short sales you're doing, but the guidelines are what the guidelines are. If you don't do them right, they're going to send them right back at you. Some other general guidelines they have are some require their sales in the past 6 months. Some will say 3 months. It just depends. Some have percentages, much like an appraisal, that they'll allow in the variance, let's say, of square footage. Some will say that you can only have a variance in your square footage of 15% from the subject property. That's real important to follow, or again, they'll kick it back at you. Sometimes they want the comparable sales and listings within a 1 mile radius only, depending for urban or suburban areas. It really just depends. Make sure you read those instructions carefully. Now, secondly, going on to the specific forms themselves, again, every form is a little different, but I'll go over some of the main points that are just about on every form. You're going to have to fill in what the property address is, obviously, what the type of property it is, et cetera, et cetera. And then they're going to ask for, a neighborhood analysis. What type of neighborhood is it? Urban, suburban, rural? What is the general condition of the neighborhood? What is the supply-demand in the neighborhood? Is there too many properties for sale? Are property values increasing and decreasing, and at what percent? Again, that's kind of an opinion part of it, unless you have the physical data to back it up that you maybe subscribe to. You would just kind of estimate what you think the values have been decreasing or increasing or remaining stable in that neighborhood. They also want to know sometimes what your estimate is on the percentage that are investor-owned versus owner-occupied homes. That's an important one right there as well, especially with condos nowadays. Many condos have turned into rental communities, specifically here in Florida, and so that's a real important thing to include when you're doing BPOs for condos and sometimes townhomes as well. They want an estimated marketing time, anywhere from 0 to 120 plus days, really just depends. From there, you start describing the subject property, some of the things that are the basics, bed, bath, square footage, et cetera, as well as some of the things that are maybe obsolete about, like some functional obsolescence that may go with the property, or maybe if the neighborhood's deteriorating, what's the neighborhood like? What's around it? You put your opinion in that little comment section they'll leave for you there of what you think the neighborhood is like. If it's near shopping centers, like a great town center area, include that. If it's in a historic district and people walking up and down streets and kids playing in the yard, include that it's a nice neighborhood and it's in a historic district in a great area. Put that in there. They want your opinion in that point. And then we'll get on to the comparable sales and comparable listings. That's where you pick out your 3 best comparable sales and competitive listings per the guidelines that the lender or the asset manager is going to give you. And you fill out the basic information. And again, when you drive by it, take note of a couple things. Is the neighborhood is nice? Is the property in disrepair? Is extremely obvious. If it's very, very different, you don't want to include it. But note what is different about those neighborhoods and those houses. And from there on, you obviously have to describe your repairs. If you do an interior BPO, you're going to get a little more detailed into the repairs amount, and this is where your professional opinion comes in about what the value of these repairs is. You're obviously not a contractor. If you have a little experience, that's great. But do your best you can to estimate these repairs. On your short sale packet, Be a little generous with the repairs. Could help you out with the values there to help get your point across. And then lastly, there's generally a section about marketing strategy. What value do they want you to list it at to sell in 30 days? That's what a lot ask. What is your 30-day quick sale value? And they want you to put a list price and what you think would actually sell at in that 30 days. And some will want different time periods, as is, or with repairs values. Just use your best judgment there to help do that. And lastly, the pictures. Make sure you take those pictures, especially if you're doing an interior BPO, those repairs in every room. Make sure you get at least one front picture of every comparable listing or comparable sale in every neighborhood. And that about sums up the basic details of each of these BPOs of what you're going to want to include. Again, each one's a little different, and so do the best you can on them.
And again, too, like Ethan said, it's ultimately the guidelines are going to be set by the lenders if you're doing them for a lender. Now, if you're doing them for a short sale, the most important thing, again, you set the own guidelines, so you make sure you pick and choose the comps that you want to use. Now, the BPO is one of the most important steps, period, in a short sale and getting a short sale approved. So, many of the larger size lenders have switched over, unfortunately, to appraisers when they value the listings. However, a good portion of them still will use an agent to do a BPO on a short sale offer and a short sale listing. It's very, very important when you get the call that an agent is ready to come do a BPO on your short sale listing, you want to talk to that agent, ideally meet them out at the property, and give them a copy of your BPO. Show them, hey, this is kind of what we think and what we found. This is what we value these different repairs at that we noted in here. And here's a copy of our broker price opinion. This is about what we think that it should be valued at. And really, they shouldn't argue that. If you have some evidence here and that you've pulled these comparable properties, hopefully they'll go with what you show them. But the agents doing those BPOs are your best friends. I want to stress that a lot. You want to be very nice and treat them very good. We try to be very nice to any appraiser or anybody who's valuing the property because those guys control the sale just as much or more than the actual lender or negotiator sometimes. They really have the power to make or break your short sales.
And just to touch on that as well, the way these negotiators will look at these BPOs and these lenders look at them is this is their eyes and ears on the ground. It's going to tell them the value. These lenders, who knows where they're at across the nation or perhaps across the world, just looking at this asset. And they're going to trust this person that's going out there based on the value that they're turning in. And so that's why, for one, it's a good thing to get your own opinion in there and show them what you think, but also to help talk to these BPO agents or appraisers that are going out there so that you're able to tell them, here's the real conditions that I'm seeing. And so that lender will trust their opinion. They'll take that value as like the Word of God came down and put this value on that property. So you got to make sure that
your word is in there too, right? Right.
Exactly.
Your will be done. No, but seriously, it is very, very important. Even if it is an appraiser that's valuing the property as opposed to an agent doing a BPO, still want to let that appraiser know, this is what you think it should be valued at.
And personally, I've never come into contact with any appraiser or BPO agent that has ever, when I've ever met them at the property and handed them, here's what I think are some comparable listings. You not even say anything here. Here's what I think the best listings are, and you hand them to them. They're going to say, okay, great, thank you. They're not going to get mad at you. Just here's what I think the value is. And they're not going to be mad at you for it.
And remember as well, they're not getting paid a fortune to do these. I mean, you don't get paid a fortune. So the less time they could potentially have to invest in doing their own BPO, the better. So a lot of times they're more than happy to take your BPO and use the exact same, items in there. As far as doing these broker price opinions also, practice makes perfect. This is something you have to practice at to get better at, just like a CMA or any property valuation. Nobody comes right out of real estate school learning how to do them perfectly. You have to practice at them some. And if you're looking at this list of this directory that we have of property valuation companies here, remember this. If you want to make money and make a living or at least supplement your income doing BPOs, your success will be directly proportionate to your effort. So take the time to contact these different companies, take the time to email them, to bug them, and let them know who you are and that you're available to do property valuations for them as well. And activity breeds activity. You will see results if you get out there and try to get some results. You get what you give. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for listening in to the Broker Price Opinion training course. Have a great day.
Thank you.